Hello, my name is Maria Tourna and I'm a postdoctoral researcher in the Love to Hate project. This is an industry academic partnership program funded by the European Commission, and it's between Greece, Italy and France. My role in this project is to set up protocols and methodology to do functional metagenomics in soil systems for the discovery of novel genes and enzymes involved in the degradation of pesticides.
So Maria, could you give us an idea of what is metagenomics all about?
Okay, what is metagenomics? We know from the literature it has been estimated that 1 gram of soil contains up to the 10 to the 9th bacterial cells, 10 to the 4th different bacterial species. Yet, despite this huge, enormous diversity, only 1% of this diversity we can cultivate in the lab. So what is metagenomics? It gives us access to this huge genetic pool, so to say, without the need of cultivation.
So what are the main approaches that we use in metagenomics?
So when we talk about metagenomics, we have two main parts. One is the sequence-based metagenomics and the other the function-based metagenomics. For the sequence-based metagenomics, we can extract DNA from an environmental sample and then we can just sequence this DNA. There are many technologies available today, next generation sequencing technologies that allow us to do this. Of course, a big issue, apart from the cost, which is not that, it's not a limiting factor these days, there is still a need for good computing power, very big computing power, and also good bioinformatic skills to analyze this enormous amount of data produced from metagenomic projects. In some cases, imagine that we can assemble whole bacterial genomes from this data without having the need to cultivate them. The other thing we can do with the sequence-based metagenomics, we can search this DNA for particular genes that they are involved in different processes, known genes. And we can search for these genes having specific probes or primers. A big limitation of sequence-based metagenomics is that it relies heavily on already known sequences available in public databases. And of course, we have to think that from all this data, we have a big proportion of these data. They give us just predicted proteins or hypothetical proteins, and we have no idea what these proteins are doing. Still, it gives us an idea about the functional capacity of a microbial community, because sometimes we discover genes in this metagenomic data that we know that they are involved in particular processes. Now, functional metagenomics. What is functional metagenomics? With functional metagenomics, we can go a step further from who is there, and we can find out what are these organisms do there, because we search for specific functions in this procedure.
Okay, so how do we actually run this functional metagenomics in the lab?
Yeah.
How is it done?
How we do functional metagenomics. So we have 3 main steps involved. The first step is the isolation of DNA. This is very challenging. We need to make a high molecular weight, pure, good quality DNA. Of course, it depends on the, it's very challenging. We have managed to do it. We have also, depends on the environment the DNA comes from. For example, soil, it's a very, very complex environment. But nevertheless, we have managed to do that. The second step in the libraries, it's actually to construct the metagenomic library. How we do that? We have our pure DNA, we shred our pure DNA into the fragments we want, and then we can insert this DNA into special vectors. Depending on our needs, we can create small insert or large insert metagenomic libraries. Once our DNA is into the vector, we introduce this vector into a host cell. Usually this is E. coli cells. And once it's there, we can start the next step. We can start, our library is ready. I have to say this is the easy part, so to say. We have now commercially kits available that allow us to do this. Of course, there is lots of research done to optimize, to make new vectors and new hosts to be able to express this foreign DNA that it's there. And then once we have constructed our library, we can store it at -80 Celsius degrees, and then we go to the third part of this procedure, which is the functional screening of the library. So what we do is we plate our clones in Petri dishes that they have medium for the E. coli to grow, but also this medium contains specific substrates that only positive clones that they have the foreign DNA and they are able to use this substrate gives us a phenotype, and we can identify this positive clone in the Petri dish. I would like to mention here about this hit rate, as we say, which means how many clones we have to screen to get one positive clone. This can vary very much. It can be maybe 1 in 1,000, but sometimes we can have one positive clone in 200,000 clones. So it's challenging, it's difficult. We have to screen a lot sometimes to get a positive phenotype.
So what are the target genes that you usually try to isolate? What is interesting from the biotechnological point of view for these enzymes?
Yeah, so common targets for metagenomic projects are enzymes involved really in industry, biofuels, laundry, food industry, and usually what are these enzymes? They are proteases, oxidoreductases, esterases, lipases, stuff like that. In the Love to Hate project, we are particularly interested in genes and enzymes involved in the degradation of pesticides.
Okay, so where could you use this pesticide biocatalyst? Where do they apply?
Yeah, a possible application for these enzymes could be maybe to develop antidotes for when we have acute toxicity of neurotoxic compounds like organophosphates or carbamates or pesticides like that. In the Love to Hate project, we are particularly interested in enzymes that they can be used for the bioremediation of xenobiotic compounds, of synthetic pesticides. And yeah, I would like to say metagenomics is a very, very powerful technique. Still, there is lots of space for developments, especially when it comes to host cells, because at the moment we are using E. coli and because not E. coli, because of differences in the transcription and translation machinery between E. coli and the organisms our insert is originating from. Not everything can be expressed, so more hosts will give us the possibility to increase this activity of the insert DNA. And the other, we have to develop new substrates for functional screening. So there is lots of work to be done, but it's very, very exciting. And for me personally, it's I feel very happy to be part of the Love to Hate project and to be involved in this hunting for new genes and enzymes involved in the pesticide degradation.
Okay, thank you, Maria.
Thank you.